Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have for you this delicious cake with apples and caramel. I'm gonna show you step by step how to make it yourself in your own kitchen. So first I'm gonna start with a sponge cake, for which I'm gonna need 3 eggs, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 6 tablespoons of milk, 85 grams of butter that I'm gonna melt and I'm gonna let it cool down, 7 tablespoons of flour, 5 grams of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and also I'm gonna use some of this delicious toffee sauce. First I'm gonna mix flour with baking powder and I'm gonna make sure this way that my cake is gonna rise and be baked at the same time. And I warmed up the milk a bit, and I'm gonna mix it up with cocoa powder so we can bloom it. And I'm gonna lay this aside. Next I'm gonna use my mixer, and I'm gonna mix the eggs really well and start adding sugar and continue to mix until they will change color and increase in volume. I'm gonna add now butter that I melted and let it cool down. Add also the milk mixed with cocoa powder, and in the end the flour with baking powder. So this will be the batter. I'm adding now the flour. And I will pour this batter in my baking tray. I have the dimension here on the screen, 19 per 32 centimeters. I'm gonna bake the cake in the middle of the oven, preheated at 180 Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. And my oven is a convection one with the fan on, so I bake the cake for about 15 minutes. I took it out and it's looking like this, and I started pouring the toffee sauce right after. I'm using about 3 or 4 tablespoons, drizzle over, and I will level it with a spatula and let it aside. The sponge cake will absorb all this sauce and will have a lovely taste. While the sponge cake is cooling down, I'm gonna make the filling with apples, and I'm gonna need 500 grams of apples, about 4 pieces for apples, 100 grams of sugar, the juice from half of a lemon, and some cinnamon. I wash the apples. I'm gonna peel them and cut them in small pieces. And I'll drizzle the lemon juice over them because I don't want them to change color and oxidize, and also lemon always gives a really nice taste. In a pot I put the sugar, and I'm gonna put this on the stove on low fire and let it melt and transform into a lovely caramel. And over that I will pour the apples with the juice and the lemon juice, of course, and let the apples release their juice, get softened. Will take just a few more minutes. They will soften up, get soft, and I will keep them on the stove until all the juice will evaporate. They look lovely and they smell absolutely delicious. I'm gonna use now the immersion blender to transform them in an apple caramelly puree. This tastes so good, and while it's hot I'm gonna pour it over the sponge cake and level it up. As you can see, the toffee syrup that we poured on top of the sponge cake was already absorbed into the sponge cake. So now level the apple puree with a spatula in an even layer. Sprinkle cinnamon on top and let this aside to cool down, and in the meantime we're gonna make the cream, the filling. And for this cream I will use 600 milliliters of milk, 80 grams of cornstarch, 100 grams of sugar, 200 grams of whipping cream, and because mine is not sweetened, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. The sugar, caster sugar, I'm gonna put it in a pot on the stove and let it transform into a delicious caramel again. Lower the fire, and after the sugar dissolved, and as you can see has that lovely color, I'm gonna pour over about 400 milliliters from the milk, so a bit over half of it, because the other half I'm gonna mix it up with the cornstarch. Doing this way with cornstarch, I make sure that my the custard, the caramel custard, will actually be really smooth and without any lumps in it. So on the stove, the caramel, because was a difference in the temperature between the milk and the caramel, as you can see, solidified, but let it on the stove on low fire and it's gonna dissolve again, and all that taste and color will be in this milk and in the custard at the end. Now it's time to add the mixture of cornstarch and the rest of the milk, because that caramel dissolved again, and on low fire mix up with a whisk until it's gonna get thick. And oh my god, this tastes amazing, but we're gonna make it even better. I'm gonna pour it in a bowl and let it cool down. I'm gonna cover it with cling film, and when it reaches room temperature, I'm gonna mix it up with my mixer, just to bring it up to life, to introduce some air, to make it more fluffier, you know, and more smooth and delicious. And also I'm gonna whip up the cream with about 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, because I told you my whipping cream doesn't have any sweetness, doesn't have any sugar, nothing. So I whip up that whipping cream and I'm gonna mix it up with that caramel custard. I'm gonna mix it up in 3 stages using the whisk from my mixer. And you will see, will look absolutely divine, and the taste, oh my god, you have to make this cake, I'm telling you. As you can see, I'm using ingredients that you can find anywhere on this planet. So yeah, I'm telling you, this cake was super good. Now that the filling is ready, and my cake also cooled down totally, I'm gonna pour on top the filling with caramel and custard and whipping cream, and I'm gonna level it. Yeah, it's gonna be delicious. I will grate on top some chocolate, but you can sprinkle just cinnamon if that's what you want. And you have to keep it in the fridge until next day for the filling to set and everything to cool down, and you're gonna be able to slice it nicely. I hope you're gonna try the recipe and I hope you're gonna enjoy it. Leave comments down below, and if you have any questions, I'm gonna make sure to answer you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in here next time. Until then, find reasons to smile. Bye.